Hi guys, I'm just another guy named James, and today I'm going to be talking about another set of G.I. Joe comics. Now this set today, it's a little odd. I'm talking about these three issues right here, and these issues mostly just chronicle various run-ins and encounters that the G.I. Joe team has with the Dreadnoks, who are some of my least favorite characters in the G.I. Joe comic. I really don't like those guys. And mostly it's because they don't make any sense. But we'll get into that in after we hear about the story today. But some background information on these issues. They were all released in 1988. They were all written by Larry Hama and drawn by Marshall Rogers. Now, Marshall Rogers is not my favorite artist on G.I. Joe. His art tends to be a little stiff, honestly. Like, it's just, not great angles, especially when you compare it to the covers, which are done by Ron Wagner. It's just not, like, the stiffness and the kind of odd, like, the just slightly off character designs really do start to get to you as you read through these comics. But overall, it's not bad artwork really in any way. It's just not great. Yeah. So yeah, overall there's not that much background that we need to get into for these. Because we're kind of in the G.I. Joe comic, we're kind of at a turning point. And that is what's nice about this story. It's finally they're finally starting to get away from this like massive serialized thing that's been going in the G.I. Joe comic for the last 50 issues, give or take, with occasional breaks throughout, of course, occasional single or double issue breaks. But overall, it's been pretty consistent, like one string story. So kind of getting away from that and kind of moving into the next thing is a refreshing change at the end of the day. But that's really all the background I've got. So let's just hop into our story, which opens with Mutt, Law, and Cross Country stuck in traffic on the Havoc until they decide to just drive off-road because they have a mission to get to. We then cut to the inside of a Cobra helicopter where we see Zartan and the Dreadnoks are going in for a landing on the Cobra Consulate building in New York. But when they land, the Dreadnoks start running around, causing havoc. But before we see what happens there, we jump back to the Joes, who are staking out Zartan's gas station in New Jersey. In another part of Jersey, we see that Zorana and Xander have started some sort of real estate scam. But to get investors, they need the Dreadnoks to be far away from them, so they don't scare the investors away. So the Dreadnoks decide to go to Zartan's gas station. But while they're on the way, they run into a military convoy. So they decide to terrorize the convoy. And as the convoy is, crashing their cars, getting robbed, being stolen from, the Dreadnoks steal one of the crates that the convoy was hauling. And we then see that the Joes at the gas station have gotten the convoy's call for help. But before they can leave to help, the Joes see the Dreadnoks' vehicles pulling up at the gas station. So they continue to observe the situation, and they see that the Dreadnoks stole a guided anti-tank missile. We also see that Mutt and his dog Junkyard are pinned in the middle of no man's land. We also see that one of the Dreadnoks has sensed that something is near the gas station. So another Dreadnok goes driving through the fields with his chainsaw, hunting whatever's been watching them. We then see Junkyard jump up and start barking and running away to lead the Dreadnok away from Mutt, which works great until the Dreadnok gets the dog with his chainsaw, and Mutt pops out of the grass and starts shooting at the Dreadnoks. But they run for cover and they start firing back. So Mutt calls in Cross Country and the Havoc, and Cross Country comes rolling in, but the Thunder Machine busts out of the gas station and starts running interference on the Havoc, while another Dreadnok grabs the missile launcher and almost takes down the Havoc, but Order, the other G.I. Joe dog, jumps the Dreadnok, causing the shot to go wild, which allows the Havoc to take down the Thunder Machine. which then leads to three of the Dreadnoks getting arrested. We also see that Junkyard is still alive, although just barely. We then jump ahead a few days and into a new location in Maryland, where we see that Battle Force 2000 is fighting a Mamba and a handful of his tanks. And once Battle Force 2000 gets the last his tank surrounded, Duke pops out of the tank and says that Battle Force 2000 did a pretty good job during the training exercise, but that they need to work together and communicate more effectively. Duke also gives them some new marching orders, which are to check up on a Dreadnok sighting in New Jersey. We then cut to Mutt and some of the other Joes who are observing the training session, and once Mutt hears the Battle Force 2000 are going after the Dreadnoks, who were released from jail in the intervening days between their arrest and now, Mutt decides that he's going to tag along because he kind of wants a little bit of revenge for his dog. We then cut to the Dreadnoks, who are currently running around the coastal town of Broca Beach before they head off to another investment meeting, which seems to be successful. And as the Dreadnoks begin to head back to Broca Beach, we cut away. Near the Jersey shoreline, we see a tanker full of Cobra civilians who are going to move into Broca Beach and live there in the same way they did in the town of Springfield before it was destroyed in G.I. Joe issue 50. And everybody was moved to Cobra Island. We then cut back to the Joes, who have reached a tollway on the Jersey Turnpike that the Dreadnoks had clearly already come busting through. And the Joes are stopped by the cops, who are trying to wait for a SWAT team to go after the Dreadnoks. But the Joes just floor it through the barricade, so the cops end up chasing after them. We then jump ahead to the Dreadnoks, who are splitting into two groups. One to stay behind and fight the Joes, and the other to bring Zorana to the tanker ship so she can bring everybody to Broca Beach. We then jump back to the Joes, who manage to pop some smoke grenades and get a couple of cops off their tail before they run into the Dreadnoks. We then jump back to the shoreline, where we see that everyone has gotten off of the tanker and is waiting for Zorana. We then smash cut back to the Joes, who have found the Dreadnoks and are engaged in an all-out battle. Back on the shoreline, we see Zorana arrive, and she starts directing everybody to Broca Beach. Back at the battlefield, the tide is turning for the Joes, so the Dreadnoks also run off to Broca Beach. And they hide, and so they all just hide in the town. So the Joes find the town, but it appears to be abandoned. But the cops from earlier surround the Joes and begin to arrest them. Then the Jews shoot the Dreadnok skiff out of the sky with Zorana and Zanzibar on it. And that falls onto a cop car, which leads to them all being arrested fairly quickly. We then jump about a day ahead and into a bar in New Jersey, where we are introduced to a new hulking figure who is absolutely trashing the place. And as Road Pig trashes the place, something catches his eye. The news report, which is showing the capture of Zorana and Zanzibar. This catches his eye because he is in love with Zorana, so he tears off to find her. We then jump to police headquarters, where we see where the Dreadnoks are being held, and we see that Law from the G.I. Joe team is trying to question Zorana, but she's not in the mood to talk. We then briefly cut to the pit, where we see that the Joes who had been arrested were released, and we jump back to police headquarters, where we see that Road Pig is coming busting in, and he is making tracks straight for the holding cells. And we see that he doesn't really like Zanzibar too much and is going to leave him in jail to rot. As Road Pig pushes deeper into the jail, Law tries shooting him, but Road Pig is shooting small explosives off of the crossbow on his arm, so Law has to get some cover. And while Law is reloading, the cops are calling in reinforcements, and Road Pig busts Zorana out of jail. As the two reunite, Law and the cop he's been with slip out the back to join their reinforcements. As Road Pig and Zorana are on their way out, Road Pig realizes that they're surrounded, so he breaks out Zanzibar, and they head for the sky skiff. While the Dreadnoks run for the skiff, the cops enter the prison, but it ends up being too little too late, and the Dreadnoks fly away. Alright, and that is just where it ends. The Dreadnoks fly away, the end. Now, all these characters do show up again. All the Dreadnoks in this story do show up again, but but it doesn't really have much to do with this story. This is just an odd one, and one of the things that makes it even odder is these three issues that I talked about. They're all interspersed. They're not 3 issues in a row. They have issues in between them that don't have anything to do with what's going on. And I will talk about those issues another day, but yeah, these three issues, they're just odd. They're all definitely connected, you know. The first issue, it's the Dreadnoks, and Mutt and Cross Country and Law. Then the next one, it's still the Dreadnoks and Mutt. Then the last one, it's the Dreadnoks and Law again. And the third one's very clearly a follow up to the second one. But it's just odd. The whole thing, it's just weird. And you have the introduction of this new kind of Dreadnok adjacent character of Road Pig. And it's just this weird story, man. And honestly, it's not terrible. I like that they brought Mutt back for this story, because Mutt is a favorite Joe. I have his figure somewhere on my shelf up there. But I really like Mutt as a character. It's cool that these issues finally have Duke in them again, because he's another one of my favorite characters. But overall, it's just this odd middle ground of everything story. It feels like it's setting up a lot of what's going to happen in the next couple issues, but it really doesn't. I just read the next 4 issues after this, and yeah, it does set up parts of what's happening in that. But overall, it's just odd. And in the middle of throughout the middle of the last issue, there's this giant red herring going on where Zartan and Dr. Mindbender try to attack the pit, but they got the location of the pit wrong. So it's just this giant red herring throughout the issue. It's just, the whole thing's just weird. And it's not bad, like I said, but this story does bring up the ultimate problem. Why are the Dreadnoks alive? You know what I mean? The G.I. Joe comic generally has this problem, because it's a comic from the 80s. Comics were generally geared more towards kids. You couldn't just be killing off all your villains. In a very Saturday morning cartoon way. You couldn't just kill all the villains. The Dreadnoks are the ones that really should be dead, because they're just these terrorist biker. They're these biker gangs connected to a terrorist cell, and they regularly steal and damage military property. But they just don't die somehow. In this issue, it really seemed like they were setting up that Mutt was going to kill one of them. And then it just doesn't happen. And there's no reason it shouldn't have happened, because it would have made a whole lot of sense. And they just kind of abandoned the idea. And I don't know why. It could have been cool. It would have been a great way to trim down the character roster. Because there's a ton of Dreadnoks too. There's 10 or 15 of them. And I'm sorry, but having 10 or 15 of your dumbest characters regularly being in the comic, it's just frustrating. Then you have this weird subplot kind of Broca Beach, where the Cobras are basically just moving back off of Cobra Island into a town again, even though that went pretty poorly for them last time when they were in Springfield, which, to be fair, did last them a while. But Springfield got leveled. That was the whole point of G.I. Joe issue 50. And it's just a weird choice to have them to bring everybody off of Cobra Island. But I don't know. I don't know, man. Overall, the stories aren't each individual issue isn't terrible, but reading them as a collective, they're just not great. And it's hard because the issues around them, I think, are pretty good. But overall, this is just kind of it's the first really low point of the G.I. Joe comic. Because all of the stories kind of have the same problem, where everything kind of just ends in a tie. You know what I mean? Like nobody wins, nobody loses. It all just ends in a tie. And overall, like, there's nothing wrong with that, but it just doesn't. It makes for compelling stories that end up feeling cheap at the end. And overall, it's just not the strongest era of G.I. Joe. Marshall Rogers' art doesn't do much to help it. And that's one of the nice things is soon the art gets better, like significantly better. Then it jumps off a cliff again. But overall, the art does get better in some upcoming issues. It takes a little bit though. But yeah, overall, this just isn't a great era. This was not a great story for the G.I. Joe comic. And yeah, and overall, it's just it is interesting. It is interesting, but man, I'm just not about the Dreadnoks. And I don't know why I don't know why the opportunity wasn't taken here to just kill them all off. Because that would have made this story tolerable if they killed off all the Dreadnoks. That would have been great. That would have made sense given the story. You know, you got your G.I. Joe who's all mad at them. And there's no reason any of the Dreadnoks should still be alive. I'm sorry. Like they should all be gone. They should all be written out of the comic. They should all be they all should have been killed off in this story. Or not all of them, but like the first few absolutely should have been. Like, fine, keep Zorana, keep Zanzibar, keep Xander, keep Road Pig. Oh man, I forgot about Road Pig. I hate Road Pig, dude. Man, he's just this weird character because he's like got these split personalities. He's this like giant hulking dude for no reason. Like, he just comes right out of nowhere. He's Zorana's ex? Question mark? Something like that? I don't know. It's just this weird. He's just this weird character. He comes out of nowhere, busts Zorana out of jail, and then the issue ends. Like what? Like, come on, man. What is going on? But yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like I said, overall, it's not a terrible story, but man, it's not great either. Yeah, overall, it's just kind of this, like, it ends up being just a wash. The only thing that actually happens is there are now Cobras living in Broca Beach. That's now a Cobra town in New Jersey. Don't ask me why though, because I don't know. But yeah, overall, that's really all I got on the story. I do like that they brought back a bunch. One more thing, I like that they brought back a bunch of older Joes in this story. I like that you see Duke, that you see Mutt, Cross Country. Law was kind of a newer Joe, but he hadn't been around for a little. You hadn't seen him for a little bit. It was a good balance. It was a better balance than I think most of these issues end up striking when it comes to balancing the old characters and the new. Because a lot of these issues just legitimately just have the old or just have the new. Or like one old character and 5 new characters. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, sometimes an issue about a bunch of new characters is actually really good. And sometimes I really dig them. Like, sometimes they're just super cool, honestly. But yeah, I think these did do a good job balancing their character rosters, if nothing else. But that's really all I have to say on these. So yeah, I'm just another guy named James. See you guys next time. Goodbye.